I'm Effie and this is What Effie Reads. Today's video is going to be my 21 in 21. Yes, I am aware it's June. This is very late, but I figured why not? All these books stacked beside me are for my 21 in 21. So as you can see, I have actually managed to read some of them already. I will try and pop links in the cards to any time that I have actually given my opinions on these books. So I guess I should start. So we have Sweet Pea. Now this particular copy was gifted to me by Shannon over at Head in the Books, but I have also had a hardback edition borrowed from the library for over a year, so I definitely need to read this book this year. I believe it's following a serial killer, but they're really engaging. I did start reading it maybe a month or two back, but I had so many books on my currently reading list that I just had to go right back, but I do plan on picking it up again soon. The next book is The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. This is one of those books that, well, I feel like a lot of people have read it because it was required reading at school. I can't actually oh yeah, we read To Kill a Mockingbird as our required reading, so I haven't ever read it, and I feel like it's one of those books that I probably should read at some point. I don't know anything about it. The next book that we've got is Gangsta Wrap by Benjamin Zephaniah. This is a book that I feel like I've had for years and I keep meaning to read it and never pick it up, but I'm flicking through now and the text is really quite large, so I think it's probably going to be something that I read quite quickly. Again, I'm not sure what it's about, but I am intrigued to read it. The next book, there's a high chance that by the time this video goes up, I will have already read it, but it is Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. This is one of those books that I feel like I'm the last person to read. I think it's probably just that in the booktube and bookstagram community it is very well loved, so I am excited to read it but also a little bit nervous in case I don't love it. The great thing is it's a really floppy edition, which means it's going to be quite an enjoyable reading experience. The next book I am currently reading, so again, by the time this video goes up, I am probably going to have finished it, but it is House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. This is the first book in the Crescent City series. I bought it pretty much when it came out, but I just haven't managed to get around to it. And now that the sequel has been announced, I would like to have read it before the sequel comes out. The next book is Grotesque by Natsuo Kiruno. This is a book that I picked up for a translated work prompt for a readathon and then didn't manage to get onto it. However, I have added it to my June TBR, so I'm hoping that I will actually manage to read it very soon. The next book is Through Her Eyes by Sophie Fay. This is a book that I got for a very reasonable price directly from the author, because it has a slight printing error and it is a signed edition. So I'm intrigued to read it. Like Sweet Pea, this is a book that I started a couple of months back, but then just culled from my currently reading list because it was somewhat out of control. What I had read of it so far, I was intrigued by. It wasn't the most advanced prose, but it kind of reminded me a little bit of a kind of junk food book. So I think I probably will enjoy it. I just need to actually put my mind to reading it. The next book that we have is You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson. It was gifted to me by Shannon over Head in the Books, and it's sapphic, it's written by a black author. Two things that make me want to prioritise it. Possibly I'll read it in June, although I have already got quite a heavy TBR. The next book, as you can see by all of these tabs, I've already read, but it is Mrs. Death by Selena Godden. This is a book that I think I picked up basically because it is so gorgeous. And then I read it and the writing is as gorgeous as the cover. And it is also a signed edition. And it has a very beautiful book plate actually. And I just absolutely adored it. It had me crying in places, and then the final author's note page after the acknowledgements broke me, basically. It is a book that I thoroughly recommend. The next book was sent to me by the author, and it is Evelyn and the Kung Fu Headmaster by Quan Wu. This is a book that I thought had a lot of potential, and I'm interested to see what the author does next. But this just didn't quite hit the mark for me. The next book is Homegoing by Yard Jessie. This is another book that I've had for some time and I just need to prioritise it. And this is yet another book that I've had for some time and would like to prioritise. This is Satans and Shayans by Abina Udenwi. I'm sorry if I butchered that. And I'm hoping to get to it. No, I will get to it. Sorry, all of these books I will get to in 2021, even if I have to read all the remaining ones in December. The next book was a little bit of a disappointment, and it is Cinderella is Dead by Kaylin Bayron. I went into this expecting it to be quite a close Cinderella retelling, but unfortunately it was kind of a bit like a sequel, and I also found the pacing to be somewhat slow. I'm still excited to pick up what Bayron reads next, but this just wasn't the book for me. The next book is Wool by Hugh Howey. This is a book that I picked up in a charity shop for £3, so absolute bargain. I remember a friend online highly recommending it, so I had to pick it up, and it felt like a sign when I saw it in the charity shop, and I just needed that push to actually read it because it is quite a thick book. Let's see. It's only 562 pages long. So it's not as long as I thought it would be. But I think it's got really quite thick pages. I think that's why it looks so chunky. The next book is one that I'm a little bit nervous to read because I own 4 copies of it. So if I don't absolutely love it, it's going to be heartbreaking. But it is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V. Schwab. I have very much enjoyed previous books by V. Schwab that I've read, so I have pretty high expectations. But I don't know what I'm going to make of it. The next book, I honestly can't remember why I decided that it is a book that I wanted to read, but it is War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. This was a book that I set out to read in 2020 and completely failed at, so I decided I was going to add it to my 2021 list. And here we are looking at a book that is about 1,300 pages long, very heavy. And I've got to somehow fit it in this year. It is in my bug pot for my TBR game, so there is a chance that one month it will just come up and that will be the push that I need. As you can see, it's quite a beautiful edition. And I did make a point of researching to find the best translation. So this is the Maud translation, which I've heard is the superior one. Almost to the bottom of the stack, I think. The next book is On the Come Up. This is a book that I got because it was bundled together with The Hate You Give, which I wanted a copy of since I read Concrete Rose pretty much when it came out and wanted to be able to go back and reread The Hate You Give. I have heard that this is another really, really good book by Angie Thomas, so I am excited to pick it up. I don't know much about it though. Pretty much the theme of this whole video, to be honest. The next book is another one that was gifted to me by Shannon over at Head in the Books, and it is Girl, Woman, Other by Bernardine Evaristo. I've heard really, really good things about this. I think the reason that I haven't picked it up yet is just that I don't read a lot of literary fiction, but I have enjoyed the lit fic that I've picked up, so I fully expect to actually enjoy this. I just need to pull my finger out and actually read it. Well, I thought we were almost at the bottom, but we have got a few more. We've got Adjustment Day by Chuck Palahniuk. This is a book that I keep putting on TBRs and I keep not quite getting to. It is on my June TBR, so hopefully I will finally get to read it in June. Up until a couple of years ago, I had read everything that Palahniuk had put out, and then I think my book collection got out of control, my library wasn't organised, various reasons I didn't manage to read this, and I know that this is no longer Palahniuk's most recent book, so I would like to read this and get on track to have read everything Palahniuk's put out once again. This was another disappointment, and it is The Sleeper and the Spindle. I will try and link the vlog where I read this, and I explain in spoilery detail why I was so disappointed by this book. It wasn't a bad book, it just I had some issues with it. And the final book, we're finally there, is Adults by Laura Jane Unsworth. This is a book that I was very, very intrigued by when I first picked up. Can't remember what it's about now, but it has got very pretty sprayed edges. So of the 21 in 21, I have already completed these 4 books, 2 of which were a disappointment. One I loved, one I didn't love so much, and I am likely to have finished a further 2 by the time this video goes out. So, have you read any of these books? Please let me know your thoughts. Let me know if there's any of these books that you think aren't going to be worth the bother. And until next time, bye!